All right, treatment of common peace in noon times. All right, we're going on another ride, and in this particular one, I'm going to go into the cards about if Flavius Piso and his family helped construct the New Testament that we know today. Of course, we know that Piso lived before the actual events that took place. When you listen to different people talk about the authorship and all of that, you know, they have this number 7 the AD to 110 AD, and we know that Piso was born in about 37 AD, and I think he was in his late 20s by the time he ran into the Romans and stuff with that antiquities of the Jews with the war that he talked about that happened between like 67 AD to 70 AD, and he ended up betraying his people and switched to the Roman side. All right, we have a video in the description that will go further into the ins and outs, the families, his father, grandfather, all these different people that led up to this whole drama. All right, so we want to know if Flavius Piso and his family contribute to the writing of the New Testament. All right, so we're going to pull a few cards. I'm going to pull 2 from the noon deck. Two for this tarot. 2 for this tarot. And 2 from this tarot. All right, let's see what comes out. All right, so in the noon, we got the Universe Longs card in the reverse. All right. And it says, in reverse, open to enemies, many predators, creative, intuitive, moody, caring, nurturing, clingy, emotional, loyal, protective, clingy, resentful, and tender. So this is about Flavius Piso. And we know that he was creative. He had access to the priesthood, and he had access to the information from the Hyksos, or the Jews that was in Kemet at one time. He had access to the Pentateuch, or what they call the Torah, and all that stuff. And then when he was moved over into the Roman side of things, he also had access to the stuff they had, because the Romans got their information from the Greeks, who got their information from Kemet. So he had access to both sides of the coin. So this one here is basically talking about
Scotty C got this one.
Open to enemies, which that's what he was when he was with the Zealots, with the Jews, when the Romans had them cornered in that cave. All right. The second card is the Kindred Law card, and upright. All right. It said all people of a kind or a race or species are one and the same by blood, lineage, and nature, and what one person of the species does affects the rest of the species directly or indirectly, the same way each time that conditions are the same. This law is called the Kindred or Bloodline Law in Book 1 of Introduction to the Nation, also written by Afro-Unda, the Noon writer. So when you get into, like I said, the Piso scenario, not the lies that the Hebrew Israelites are saying that were them back in time, that's complete utter nonsense. He was part of his brethren that was anti-Roman rule over Judea and other parts of Palestine and stuff where they was at that time. Where they settled in after Thutmose I walked them out of Kemet through Palestine all the way back to Asia. Some of them stopped off over there. All right? They're not from there. That was never their land in the first, second, or third place. So what we're talking about is what this man did, right, affected his people in Judea and eventually abroad, because this stuff led into Christianity being created, and that also became a thorn in the side of the Jewish people as time went on. So now these two cards are confirmation cards, because they were pressed by enemies in the cave, right? And they were stuck. And then you had the Kindred law, which talks about him, Piso, which he flip-flopped against the Jews at that time and sided with the Romans. So the next tarot cards is you got the Lovers. Upright, right? And if you look at the picture, we know that the Romans and the Greeks always had pictures of men, women, and children naked in their architecture. And also the fact that if you read some of his work, Piso had great affection for the architecture of Rome. When they took him to Rome for those 2 years, they said he was mesmerized by their whole culture, and he loved it there. All right, so this card here has nothing to do with as far as what it says. Well, we'll read it first. It said physical beauty. Again, he thought that Rome was a beautiful place, a beautiful soul, beginning of a romance, temptation, attraction, sexuality, lust, and love. He did get married to maybe 2 or 3 women from Rome. All right, or that was involved with Rome or in Judea and stuff like that. All right, I think he had 1 or 2 wives that he married that was from Rome. Lust and love. In order for a relationship to work, you must leave your parents. Represent a period of good times, close friendship, and adventures. An important decision must be made. All right, so that again is speaking about how he respected Rome and what they had accomplished up until that point. All right. Now we have the Empress card in the reverse. All right, so we know an Empress is rulership, but we know the rulership is upside down. And it says, infertility, sterility, fear and anxiety, trouble at home, personal and relationship problems due to extravagance and overspending. Life is out of balance and focus only on material belongings. Possible psychological problems, no personal growth, war, hunger, sickness, loss of possessions. This is describing what the Jews was going through at that time from 66 AD all the way up to 70 AD, where they had got cornered in that cave they was hiding in, and food and all that stuff was getting low. The Romans was actually starving them out. If you read the history of what took place back then when they was having those wars with the Romans all around Palestine, especially where they was at where Piso was at, they were running out of food and water and all of that. All right, so we still sticking to the scenario. The scenario is confirming the storyline is being told. All right. Now we got the Knight of Wands in the reverse. And see, notice there's a man on a horse, and he does look like how the Romans dressed back then. You see the metal and all of that. You can see that. You can see the little horse and the little helmets and stuff like that. So the cards is confirming the storyline. It says arrogant, reckless, hyperactive, daredevil, overly confident, loud, and show off. And this is talking about Piso because he had knowledge. He also flip-flopped some of the Old Testament prophecies and was saying, I think the guy named was Vespasian at the time. He predicted that he was predicted in the Hebrew scriptures to come and punish the Jews for being hard-headed, and that he was going to be a ruler according to his prediction. And the Jews at the time definitely felt like that was foul and that he was trying to use the scripture to save his own butt, which basically turned out to be true. And that was just an educated guess. And I think Vespasian ended up becoming a ruler. And the 2 years that Piso or Josephus spent in jail in Rome, they let him out, and he wanted to try to go back and convince the Jews that they need to think of their life instead of just going out with a bang. All right, the next one is the hermit. All right. All right, this is definitely, if you look at a picture of Flavius Piso, he had a white beard and he wore the drawings of pictures that they have of him. He looked similar to the hermit. And the man was very studious. He read a lot and all that stuff, and he was studying, trying to figure out how he was going to turn that situation of him now becoming a Roman citizen and try to make that work in his favor. So it says soul searching, spiritual enlightenment, soul searching, self-reflection, introspection, contemplation, inner guidance, and solitude. All right, so this is what he was going through when he was spending time in that jail. All right, so the next card is the Three of Pentacles. We know the Three of Pentacles is an upright. It represents hardships. But let's see, what is this? The light seals. Let me see. Three of Pentacles upright in the light seals deck. All right, let me see. Three of Pentacles, different skills, roles, ideas, energy, and they come together as a group to create the world of their dreams. Indeed, they are each unique manifestation of universal consciousness, and in this uniqueness, their talents and their mindset can work beautifully with one another when they open up to the collaborative magic that they have at their fingertips, each one adding a piece of love to the fabric of reality that they're weaving, each one an important part of the whole. They spend life to project that they would only work with the unique energy of this specific trio. So the light seers is the one at the top, the original one is at the bottom. And basically, this is what Piso wanted to do. He wanted to work with some new people, which it was the Romans. And that's what he was trying to do. He was like, okay, and if you look again in the bottom, you know, it looks more Romanish, you know, type of church setting. All right, you know that them old Catholic churches and buildings and things look like that. All right, so this is still telling the story. All right, then we got the moon in upright. So here the moon in tarot represents secrets, something being hidden. And let me see. One second. All right, so the moon, right, as you can see it right there, the moon in the upright, trusting your intuition, facing your fears, the watery nature of the unconscious mind, mystery, symbolism, metaphor, perception, uncertainty, dreams, powerful visions, a spiritual experience. And what's being hidden here is that Josephus and the Piso and all these other people that had money and connections in his time are the true authors of the New Testament. And I got videos on my BitChute breaking all that stuff down and how he wrote himself as Joseph, Judas, Paul, and I showed you certain things, how they all come together, and how Paul went to jail for 2 years. Josephus was locked up for around 2 years. It's all these things, and he was there before Jesus was even born. This didn't come after the fact. I told you Jesus was Caesarion, Ptolemy the 15th, Cleopatra's son, and Mark Antony. The book of Mark is named after Marcus Antonius. That's his father. All of that stuff is there. It's just people don't realize how all of this stuff works, because spirit beings are the negative force of nature spellbind human beings, so they don't know what's what and who's who and who's doing what. You see what I'm saying? So they pretty much saying the whole thing. So what advice, we're gonna pull the last for what advice does each deck give people who hear this message and do the research and say, you know what? This can't be a lie. So I'm gonna change the cards up, and we're gonna get some advice from all of the decks. All right? Because it changed the question, so I gotta flip-flop them again. What advice does each tarot deck give? What advice? What advice? What advice does each one give? So what I'm gonna do is just turn them over. Look at the bottom.
Scotty C got this one.
Look at this, look at this, look at this. Look at this. The first card in the reverse is, look, Caesarion Ptolemy. You can't make this up. Confirmation, the son of Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Now we're going to read it in the upright and the reverse, right? It says, Caesarion Ptolemy the 15th, called the real Jesus, Savior, part Phoenician Arab and Roman Pharaoh in training. Heavy weight on your shoulders, radical revolutionary, highly spiritual, possessed by Tahuti and Melchizedek to do great miracles. In reverse is block rulership, loss of family, kingdom taken, denied by father side of the family, the Romans, hated, chased, betrayed by caretaker, lied on, death used to promote false claims by enemies. All right? So the way that the New Testament set up is all blasphemy, because this is the true person right here. This is whose face is on the Sphinx. It's Caesarion. Go get a stone picture of Caesarion. I did a video on it, and put his face up there next to the Sphinx face, and you'll see it the same face. That's why they defaced it later, because they didn't want people to realize that. All right? So we got that one first, Ptolemy in reverse. Now we got a Knight of Wands in the reverse. And look, still dressed like a Roman soldier, right? The Knight of Wands in reverse. All right? So this one just was confirming we talking about Caesarion. Now the second one is gonna give you some advice. Male under 40, has emotional problems, can't commit, no discipline, angers easily, brash, cocky attitude, appears successful but is an act, keeps dark secrets, can be extremely cruel and abusive, promises a relationship but will leave after he gets what he wants, charming but superficial. This is talking about what's his name? This is Caesarion, because like the New Testament stated, he was 30 years old before he became an incarnation. And he was cocky because he had two spirit gods in him. The moon god and Melchizedek, and also because the Greeks lost power and Rome took over. After Greeks had power, and then Rome took over, and according to the Bible interpretation, he wanted his kingdom back, and he was angry because the Romans would not allow him to take the kingdom back, and they had puppets that was sitting in power in Kemet. So this is talking about him once again. So this is confirming we're still talking about Caesarion right here. All right, look, Page of Cups. Page of Cups are young people of the tarot. All right, this is also in reverse. And it says childhood issues, sexual abuse, bad news, broken dreams. So this is also talking about Caesarion. His dream was to bring Kemet back to being in power, and he could not get it. His mother ended up losing, trying to keep power in Egypt and all that. It didn't work out, right? So his mother couldn't make the dream come true. She wanted to set her son up to be the king of Egypt and Rome, and the racism of both sides wasn't trying to hit that. All right, then you got the 4 wands in the upright. All right, so you see 2 females celebrating, right? It's in the upright. So we go back to this over here. The 4 wands in the upright. It said the upright 4 wands is a stable and social card. It, when upright, signifies stable and supportive relationship. This sense of community applies to your work environment when it appears in this position. Possibly you have made new friends at work or the atmosphere that has been particularly positive lately. All right, so it's basically like celebration, prosperity, and all of that, and it's a milestone. What is the milestone? The milestone is the truth about what really happened 2,000 years ago. It's been made plain, and that the information is out there. I remember a guy came under my old YouTube before YouTube destroyed it and said that his father was a high degree Mason and he was dying on his deathbed. I think it was his father, and he told him, he whispered to him before he died, he said that Caesarion Ptolemy was the real Jesus. And this was a couple of months ago. So a lot of the Masons know this. This is not something that's not known. And because if you look at why they allowed this lie to take on as long as it have, because it bought the Roman Empire and its subsidiaries, which was also a front for Ghost God Osiris, or who y'all calling Christ. The spiritual aspect gave him 2,000 years to run with. And if had Caesarion not being killed and crucified, they wouldn't have a religion. So once you take away that crucifixion and how they said he died for them, no, he died so that the Romans could have a religion to use, which they did around the time they started becoming more organized with Constantine, even though Christianity broke out like I think it was like 300, 400 BC, something like that. The Bible interpretation goes into that stuff. And I got videos on this. All right, so the whole point is, out of all of the stuff that happened, it's telling everybody that got enough sense to celebrate. Celebrate that the lies is no longer important anymore. All right, so that's about it. 2 minutes to come to peace in noontime.